Welcome to CityBiz. We are here, Michael Halley, Melinda Arndt, recapping or trying to get Michael to give us the recap on the most recent City Council meeting. It is the end of January 2019, so this would be the January 28th meeting. That's right. We're here in the beautiful Arts and Convention Center, in case you can't tell. Now, we understand that there is a new City Council person replacing Darren Hamilton, who has won the seat on the supervisor's county. So he's moved from the city to the county level, and yep. Mr. Toohill is
Tom
taking...
Toohill, yes. So Tom Toohill was sworn in as an appointed city council member to finish the term that Darren Hamilton left when he was elected as a county supervisor. So Tom was sworn in at our meeting, and he'll finish this year, and then would have the opportunity to run for the seat in November. So the city council terms are 4 years. And so I remember we talked about this, we put out the call and said, hey, anyone interested in trying out city council? This is a great opportunity. If you live in that ward, Ward 5, it's only a year commitment. So Tom answered the call.
He raised his hand. He didn't have someone come knocking on his door and saying, Tom.
Yeah, so we're glad to have him. He's got a background in community service. He was the chair of the Chamber of Commerce Board at one point. So and he's interested. He's actually, would be considering running in November. So that's great to have somebody who's not just looking at it as, okay, I'll sit in for a year, but that I will make a commitment and keep going. So welcome aboard, Tom. We're glad to have you. And now he's going to fill all the committee positions that Darren had. So
he's doing some homework right now.
Yes. He was actually out talking to me after the council meeting, trying to wrap his head around some of the committee responsibilities and such. So I'm sure he'll get caught up to speed pretty quick. But yeah, it's good to have we're playing with a full deck again.
Yay. So we want to touch upon that, and also on a new kind of an exciting announcement that a grant was received for upgrades at the crossing by the rec center.
Yes. So everyone in town knows that the intersection of Burlington and 9th is a little weird. 9th Street does not align, so it doesn't go straight across Burlington. The two parts of it are misaligned, and it's kind of a pedestrian crossing nightmare scenario.
And there used to be that tunnel, but it's all
the tunnel is
not usable.
Not usable. It's structurally unsound. Really needs to just be filled in at this point, and it would cost too much to try to upgrade it. Plus, even when it was open, people didn't feel safe using it. Wasn't very clean. So the city actually looked at upgrading this crossing as part of the 2015 visioning program, and we had a design that changed the crossings. Instead of going right in the middle of all of those various streets, the crossings would be right in front of where the cars stop, which is considered safer, because when the pedestrians are right by the cars, there's more visual.
Yes.
It's safer that they can see who's crossing. And then we also wanted to add some pedestrian buttons and lights that aren't there now, and those aren't cheap. So the city applied for a grant a couple years ago and didn't get it, and that was with the Wellmark Foundation. And so
when we were doing Blue Zone.
Right after Blue Zone, and we didn't get it, and no improvements were made. And then there was a tragic pedestrian accident a couple years ago. And we reapplied this time for a Department of Transportation Traffic Safety Improvement grant. And we got it, and it's covering the majority of the cost. And then the council is going to say, well, we're going to cover whatever the remainder of the cost with funds from our sidewalk fund. So that's a great use of that fund. That was the revolving fund that helped people pay for sidewalk repairs back in the day when this whole thing was going ward by ward. People had to fix their sidewalks.
Do their sidewalks.
And if they chose to have it paid through their assessment of their property, they could do that, and that's how that fund was generated. And it just makes sense to use those funds, leverage them when possible with grant funds to enhance pedestrian safety, because what else are you going to do with the sidewalk fund? So work will be beginning, I believe, after July 1st.
Oh, I was going to say as soon as the weather gets better, but
no, I think the
after
funds
July
are
1st.
released in the new fiscal
okay.
year. Yep. So we're hoping to get it all started and completed this construction season. So
Yay!
summer, fall. And yeah, it'll just be a big sigh of relief to have a safer crossing scenario there.
Yep. That center gets a lot of use, and especially when the pool's open, the outdoor pool in the summer.
Yeah, I wish that we could say it would be done in time for that. Probably won't be, but
it'll be in the works. And
yep,
we've
going.
been waiting 3-4 years now. So
yeah. So this is probably was the #1 intersection that the city was looking to improve the safety for. Now there are others. I was going to talk about some work we're doing in-house over at a crosswalk by Carpenter and 4th Street. And it's just a little fix, just fixing a couple of issues there, and it's going to cost $4,400 and then some in-house labor. But Merrill and 4th, which is a really unusual intersection, if you're familiar with it, it's by former Lincoln Elementary.
Yeah, it runs along behind the playground of the former Lincoln and now the vocational school.
Yep, and there's a little island, and so traffic coming from one direction of Merrill will just kind of yield and then turn north, and this is Highway 1. So currently the island has no actual curb approach. It's just, if you were to come
just
up...
a little sort of curvy triangular thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the city had an option of, we could have added some crosswalks on the outside edge and left the island alone, and probably could have funded that in-house with that sidewalk fund. But instead, we're going to seek another grant from the DOT.
Yeah.
It is their highway, so we're hoping they'll be...
It is Highway 1.
And we'll actually redo the entire little island, and this time adding approaches. And so basically somebody in a wheelchair or on a bike or anything on wheels can then come up, and right now it's just a big curb.
That's true. Yeah,
there's no way to come through it.
I don't know if roads need to be ADA compliant,
well,
but
they really should be.
They should be.
The DOT
and the rest of downtown, we've done it for all of our nice sidewalks.
And we're working on it everywhere to make all the approaches. They have the curb cut, and then the rumble strip. The approach, and so we want to do that at that island, but that's a little bigger job. So it fits nicely with the fact that the city of Fairfield is one of a handful of cities chosen to be in a pilot program. So it's a Department of Transportation program that they've done with a number of counties, and they just opened it up to cities. And it's called the Road Safety Program. I'm probably missing a word, but that's close enough. And so
it's
what they're going to do,
make the road safer.
Well, they come in and they pay attention to the roads that you ask them to look at, the ones that you say are priorities, and they look at current issues or potential issues that could have to do with sight distances, could have to do with layout, speed, all those different factors. And then they will give us recommendations. Now, they won't give us money, but they do have these grant programs. So they'll look at that intersection. We'll take their recommendations and put their own recommendations into the grant application for their own grant. So to me, that should strengthen the chances of us getting grant funds, because we're doing their program and taking their recommendations. But that's another intersection that we've been wanting to look at. Fortunately, there's not a high accident rate there, but
there is a lot of pedestrian traffic.
There's pedestrian traffic from the university, and there's just a strange layout with the island and the road splitting and turning. So we just want to make that as safe as possible. So that one is a future project. Keep your eyes open. Maybe we'll be talking next year, and I'll be announcing hopefully that we got a grant for that one.
Because are you on the transportation committee?
Yeah, I'm the chair of the City Council Public Safety and Transportation Committee, and I'm also on the group that's working with the DOT on the road safety program. So it's something I've just always been interested in. I guess it's the father in me, the safety first, and I just want to make everything, and making things pedestrian friendly, because we have so many people in town who walk and bike instead of drive.
They do. And speaking of biking, maybe everybody's heard by now. You might all have heard by now, but if you haven't, here it is. RAGBRAI is coming through Fairfield, July 25th.
Yep.
And this time, instead of being the last night, it'll be the second to the last
Thursday.
night
Yeah,
for the writers.
It's really interesting. RAGBRAI is trying something new this year. Instead of Friday night being the last overnight, and then the writers continue on, get to the Mississippi and dip their tire in and go home, they're going on to Burlington after us, and then they're going to stay there overnight, and then go south down to Keokuk. So
go along the Mississippi for part
along
of
the Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It will be different, not being the Friday night stop, being the Thursday night stop, because when you're the Friday night stop, it's a huge party, and it's a huge release in a sense for these people who've been together all week, and it's their last night together. So Thursday, maybe it'll be slightly more tame. We'll see.
We'll see. I've never done RAGBRAI, but I hear it's a party every night for a lot of the people. I mean, there are more serious writers who go to bed early, but there are loads who just they just do the miles every day and they have fun at night.
Oh, they do. They do. So we're going to basically we're going to reform a committee just like we did last time. And there are a lot of people who were on it in 2013, like myself, who are ready to get back on it. So we're in a much better position this time around than we were in 2013 because we hadn't done it since 97.
Right.
And no one from 97 had notes or had anything to recommend in terms of what worked and didn't. And it was kind of a weird thing in 97. The route didn't come through town. It went around, so we didn't get the full, full group. Some people just kept going. They didn't stop. So
interesting.
2013, we blew it away. We had a great event, and RAGBRAI organizers told us that we had one of the best stops, not just that year, but of many years. So now we've set the bar so high, we have to try to.
And now someone's got the, I was going to say the binder, but it's probably all electronic, but all the notes, what worked, how many porta potties here, how many campsites there.
All that. So we're in a much stronger position to get all the logistics worked out, but we will need many volunteers. We're going to need committee members who are committed to working on this for weeks and weeks and months. It takes, we're going to start in February. Actually, we're already starting now, but we're going to start in earnest in February, and we'll meet every week until.
Because there's stuff to do. Why don't you mention just a few? I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of a few things, but fencing, porta potties, businesses, outside vendors.
Yep. So housing is a big one.
Housing is huge.
And so, anytime people can open up their homes, or even just churches, or we'll open up the
or even
rec center.
your backyard, but maybe people can use your bathroom.
All the city parks will be camped in, and public safety, law enforcement, these are big things.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole publicity, there's a whole entertainment, the beer garden itself, logistically to work that out.
Is Tammy back on board with that, or not this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe. Well, she's a storehouse of information.
Yeah. So we'll see. Who ends up filling these positions, but and then sanitation. So we have to order the porta potties. I mean, and just in dealing with all the waste, it's.
Last time there was a whole crew recycling. They had all these recycling stations for water bottles and.
Yep, we tried, and then I think the Boy Scouts ended up sifting through the bottles that we bagged and pulling out the ones that had a deposit on them, which was probably smelly work, because I tell you, it was. Well, they were willing to do it. It was pretty smelly when you put all those bags and all those bottles in a bag and seal it in a hot July day. But hey, they did it. Good job. And
they didn't have to drink the beer; they just had to smell it.
So we'll continue to update. You'll see a lot of publicity on this, but very excited. It's a huge boon to the town economically. Any retailer does a great job, and then there's always money available, kind of a profit sharing that RAGBRAI does. They cut us a check for about $22,000 last time that we gave away to all the nonprofits who helped. So I think FMC even got a little bit out of that one too. So so look forward to that. It's going to be the biggest event of the year, so stay tuned.
I think that's a wrap. See ya in February. Thanks for catching us on CityBiz.